dance floor last night, darling.
Please don't say you.
What was that song that was listening to some dance song that was going, drop it, drop it. And she said, here, hold my hand, I'm going to drop it. You did well, darling, well done.
I love you, thank you. So my question is about Crixus. Right after it was exposed that he and, I might be saying this wrong, I'm trying best to pronounce her name, Navia, right? Am I saying that right?
Navia.
Okay, Navia. He gets taken away and he's strapped to be whipped, and that you did such great acting there, and I wondered, what did you have to do to just get in that state so you actually could really pull off that stuff, the suffering he was going through, he's being stripped from his beloved, he's getting whipped and everything.
Yeah, basically that scene was about my love being taken away, and not only that, but it was also about her pain because she was, a lot of the stuff that I did working with Navia, or the two actresses, there was actually two actresses that played that role. First it was Leslie Ann Grant in the first season, and then the prequel, and then Cynthia Di Roberts came in for the third and fourth. A lot of the stuff that I did with Navia, there's a type of acting called Meisner, which is about looking into your fellow actors' eyes and acknowledging them purely. So you stop acting, like a lot of acting sometimes when you work with actors, people want to be on the camera, that's what they want to be, actors, they want to be famous, they want to be there, they want to be the one that's focused upon. So sometimes when you work with actors, you notice that you're not affecting them so well because they're just trying to take the camera. If you work with great actors, they look at you and they look into you and they wait for the beats and the moments in order to have a true understanding and conversation with you on camera. Now, because of the nature of the Crixus and Navia relationship, we were always looking for that opportunity to make it as visceral as possible. So I took a lot of regard into looking into my actress's eyes and face and really trying to feel what she was feeling. Now, when it came down to that final scene, she was brought out and her hair had been cut off and they'd beaten her and she had blood on her face and stuff like that. And I just wept when I saw her like that because it was awful, torturous scenario, and she was being dragged away to be, kids, lock your ears, but to be raped, to be really taken advantage of, and I knew that was going to happen to Navia, as a result of her having defied Domina. So that moment it just came as a kind of like, a big emotional outpouring about what she was going to go through, not what I was going to go through. I'd just been whipped, and basically Crixus had stayed there and been whipped and taken it. But it was, and that was the thing, Crixus could sit there and have his flesh torn off, but when she walked out and it was her who was now going to go through pain, that's where as an actor I actually found this gear that was just so naturally even more beautiful with it being strong, being vulnerable. And the vulnerability of her coming out and being like that is why he broke apart. And as an actor, that was kind of like brought on because we worked together that well, that when I looked at her, I just felt it so sincerely that it just made me weep that she was going to go through all that. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
I almost could cry.
Yeah. But it was a rare opportunity. You don't get material like that often. The most incredible thing about Spartacus as a series, every time I picked up a script, I was going, wow, that is just so much in that to pick from, to do as an actor. And that was one of many scenes where one of the examples of that relationship between Crixus and Navia was my death scene. In my death scene, in the final scene of Spartacus, spoiler alert, folks. If you're just watching the show now on Sci-Fi for the first time, look, here it is.
I gotta let someone else get it.
But when I was on my knees, I I didn't have a choice on that particular day. I sort of went there because they actually were filming my death scene on Spartacus as my last scene. Sometimes you don't shoot in sequence, but it was going to be my last scene. So I knew everyone was going to give me this big send-off. I knew I was going to get this thing called the haka, that all the crew and everybody were going to get down there and give me a really big send-off. So I sort of had this kind of thing going on which wasn't really holding me into form as an actor. It was more like an individual finishing my last day at work. So when I got there, I was a bit sort of unsure about how I was going to make my acting decision because everything else was going on. And Cynthia, who plays Navia, was off to the side of the set crying. Like sincerely crying. And I walked up to her and I said, "Cynthia, what's up, darling?" And she said, she had met her father for the first time 6 months prior to that. Like her father and her mother split when she was just a baby, and she'd gone to England and found her father. And when she found him, he was dying of cancer. And he died like 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks, 2 months, so 2 months later. And she was just starting to make her mark as an actress. And she was crying because she realised that this loss that she was about to watch me go through reminded her of the loss of her father. And all of a sudden I felt this real empathy for her. And I suddenly realised what to do in that scene, which is, you know what, I'm going to get killed here, but she's the one who's going to have to live on with that loss. So in that scene, all I did was look at Cynthia when she was acting, because I knew that she was crying for real. And so I just looked at her and I looked at her and I kept on going, it's going to be okay, darling. Your acting career is going to go on. Your father's going to be proud of you. You're going to be just fine. You know? And when I watched that scene back, and I sort of look at myself, I see myself not acting. I see myself actually kind of like just being controlled by her performance. And that's what I think acting really needs to be a lot of the time, you know? Just needs to be the other person. Just give up. Don't worry about your shot. Don't worry. The cameraman will get the shot. The lighting guys will light it. Just give it up. You know what I mean? Give it to the other person.
Yep.
And that's how you get the real performances out of what we do. You know?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. That both of you guys were just amazing on there. Loved the character, loved everything. It's beautiful. Both of your acting was beautiful.
Thanks, Bob.
Love ya.